take a break too. My name is Gabe. You may know me as RAY.wav. And today I'm going to be doing a little sit-down interview, post-release, post-show interview with a good friend of mine and one of the best interviewers in the game.
Yeah, so explain the process of using mostly distortion to convey your lyrics, because almost the entire project, it was very like staticky and distorted.
Yeah, I think like that vocal style came to me pretty quickly and naturally when I started like this RAY.wav project around a year ago. My vocals lacked in my past music projects, so at first my vocals being pitched down was kind of born out of insecurities, you know? I just wanted to sound different, you know, not necessarily cooler, just different. I didn't like hearing my voice back, which I think is pretty common. But I do really like my voice pitched up or down, and so that came naturally. And then I love texture in music. There's always like a weird background, you know, maybe there's like a cricket sound or like just like a night ambience playing in the background of my music, or vinyl crackles. Like I love texture in my music. The production, and we'll get to this a little, later, but the production tells most of the story, and I wanted the production to tell most of the story. I liked writing the lyrics, and I think that, you know, every lyric is important. But I could totally see myself in the future making a concept album that is just told completely through instrumentals. I think that could be really fun. So, because of that, like, I wanted the vocals to kind of be in the song and in the beat and not, like, on the beat, if that makes sense. So that's why a lot of them are super distorted and laid back. Just because I felt like that best suited the overall feel of the project. I think like if they were like the main part of every song, it would not be the same album whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, to connect with other projects that you've released and that you plan on releasing in the future, how will this album connect to those?
I like that question. I think I have always viewed this album as kind of a loose, not even super loose, just kind of a sequel to my last album, my first album. Like for the release party that you went to, I played Stargazer and then the deluxe right into Forever's a While. And that was just to get people refreshed on that story, because that has a pretty loose concept. I would say it's more loose than this one, but there is still a concept about, you know, lack of sleep and just not feeling yourself, and the cycle that you get into when you stay up late and then sleep all day and all the, you know, classic stuff. So this kind of delves into maybe why that is. I can't sleep. Like, okay, every time I sleep it's terrible. Like I have sleep paralysis and like fever dreams and stuff. Like, of course I'm gonna want to stay up as long as possible. And it is based on myself and my experiences, but also, you know, I play a character in both albums. I would love for 503 Stargazer, Forever is a While, and whatever comes next, probably next year, to be kind of a trilogy. Sonically, they're all going to be very different from each other. I already know. Like, I don't think I'm going to make another Stargazer or even make another Forever is a While. But I don't think I'm done with this character, and I don't think I'm done with this story. I don't think it's had like a proper resolution. I think After Forever, the last song on this album, is the closest that we've gone, but it's kind of like a taste that could lead into the next chapter, the next album.
Which track is your personal favorite, and which would you say best summarizes the story being presented?
Obviously, In Your Dreams was released as the first single for a reason. I think it kind of introduces the listener to the story and to the character and to the atmosphere, but in a catchier way, in a more easily accessible way than some of the other songs on this project. I think my favorite is probably Please Do Not Wake, which is track 9. If you saw this, what is that song started as and what it turned into, totally different song. Like, it might as well have been a different session, but it's not, and that's part of what makes it cool to me, is because I kept some elements from the first drafts of that song and just kind of threw them in throughout. If there's like a random one-off sound or something, like chances are, and this goes for a lot of songs, it's just a leftover from like the first draft of whatever song that was. And we'll get into like the process of you know, scrap songs, stuff like that later, but just the evolution of that song and also like the musicality, I just kind of stumbled my way into this soundscape that I didn't really intend to make and didn't know I could make.
And since Forever is a While is a story, obviously, what is the mood and the events that begin it? What happens during the middle of it, the climax, and how does it end? What would you say is the mood?
I'm super torn. I've been super torn because I knew we were going to do this on if I wanted to explain, you know, go track by track and explain every single thing, because literally everyone I've shown has had a different perspective on what the story is, because that's such a validating thing to like put out a conceptual story and then have people be like, okay, like does the album end this way? Like that's super cool. But I will say it starts, I'm in this dreamland before I'm woken up, and the voice you hear throughout the album is the personification of sleep. And it's kind of luring me in, right? It's like, you done well. Like it takes place right after Stargazer ends. It's like, okay, you did it. Like you conquered it. You can sleep, you can rest, do it. I'm like, okay. And then I enter this very peaceful dream before I'm kind of woken up, which is what To Tomorrow is. And I'm in this paralyzed state. Well, the album's told from the perspective of sleep paralysis, like demon, which I kind of view as just a part of myself, right? You know, only your eyes and your mind work when you're in sleep paralysis. It's like your soul has kind of left your body and maybe taken on its own personality. So it's just me like discovering that, understanding what this space is, and then the climax I'd say is From Infinity. That's definitely the climax. And then the whole album takes place in one night cycle. So after Forever is like the sun coming up. It's like, okay, like that's the only time that you hear just like kind of a normal sound with that piano, and me just going about my, you know, getting out of bed, putting on my shoes, stuff like that. Like it's comforting in that way. You want to hear something that I was working on?
Let's hear it.
Oh. This is cool too, though. I thought this was something else.
That's really cool. Guys, this is what it's like when it's just you and RAY.wav chilling in the studio.
Please Do Not Wake, that outro where it's like noise basically, kind of a jump scare, that was kind of what the whole song sounded like originally. It just kind of got annoying. It was one of the weaker songs, and then I just scrapped most of it, and then laid down some chords. Actually, it was with this, I believe, which only has like a few sounds, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And so I turned that into Please Do Not Wake. But I kept a few elements, like I was saying before. I kept the clapping that you hear when it when the vocals kind of disperse and then there's like a weird drop, I guess. The clapping was left over. It was just me going, and then I chopped it up and all that added effects. And that's not on beat with the final BPM for what Please Do Not Wake is, but it just worked, you know. Like I have a thing where I like using every element somewhere, you know, even if it's just for a one-off sound. Like I don't like scrapping things completely, so that was one that I just had left over from the original song, and I wanted to incorporate somehow. Another thing that was like that is the outro to From Infinity. But what I have pulled up now is the single In Your Dreams. Pretty big session. I played that. I mean, there's really not that many samples on this album. The only sample, so Purple's the Color of Night Terrors, that synth, that kind of that reverse synth in the back, is actually sampled from this song off of Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. Here, I can show you actually. Yeah, this one. I love this song.
feel like I'm running in circles. I took my body rest. Is it not?